Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Aaron Morick. I'm the Director of Networking Services at IntegraONE. I've been in the IT industry for just over 20 years, and I've worked for IT solution providers pretty much throughout my career. Today, I'm lucky enough to lead the networking team at IntegraONE and to make sure that we're prepared to deliver the latest and greatest technology solutions to all of our customers. At IntegraONE, we break down our business into a couple key areas: security, data center, network, collaboration, managed services, technical repair, just to name a few. We do that so that we can provide subject matter experts in each of these areas so that we can architect a complete solution to meet all the customer's needs, not just sell you point products. The way we approach each customer is on an individual level. We realize that each customer has unique needs from a technical perspective, different business needs and requirements, and also have different budget requirements. So as we engage with each customer and talk with them throughout the sales cycle, we take all these things in mind to make sure that we're really kind of hitting the mark when we put a design in front of them. We want to build a long-standing relationship with our customers. We don't want to come in and just make a quick sale. We want to build that partner relationship with the customer and be there to make sure not only do they have what they need today in their current environment, but make sure they're prepared for the future to handle whatever comes next. Integra has 30 years of experience in the IT industry. We've grown to 5 offices spread across Pennsylvania. We service many different vertical markets, including commercial, healthcare, state and local government, higher ed, K-12. We really that wide range of experience allows us to really understand each customer individually and to be able to deliver a complete solution. Today, we really want to talk about a topic that is probably on the top of everybody's mind, and that is the hybrid workplace. And we'll go into kind of what that means and how we accomplish it. But it certainly brings a lot of challenges to not only IT, but to the business itself. And today with me, I have Eric Moore from Aruba. Aruba is one of IntegraONE's great partners that we've been working with for a long time. We were named Aruba Partner, East Region Partner of the Year in 2020. But Eric is here to join us and kind of walk us through how some of the Aruba products and solutions can help meet the need of the hybrid workplace. Thank you, Eric, for joining.
Thanks, Aaron, for allowing me to be part of this discussion today. For those of you that are viewing the recording and don't know me, I'm an Aruba systems engineer. I cover central and southeast Pennsylvania. So if you've been doing research or following the news lately around business continuity or certainly technology or even commercial real estate, you'll have seen that the expectation is that that businesses are going to operate differently post-pandemic than we did pre-pandemic. We've sort of gone through different phases. Or maybe I should say maybe we're in the middle of a multi-step process, working out how businesses will operate given a changing social and regulatory climate. So the first step we at Aruba kind of characterized as a business continuity phase, and it happened pretty quickly in the spring of 2020. I think that most organizations have reached a balancing point in terms of who is working and where in this, this work from home phase. And Aruba technology has really played a key role in giving connectivity and secure access to employees who are working from home. Lots of organizations that had been using Aruba networks, inside their offices were relieved and pleasantly surprised to find out that having an Aruba network made them very well positioned to support sending their workforce home, but still keeping them, working. So hopefully we're in the winding down phase of that. depending on your location and what industry you're in, employees are starting to be able or are already able to come back into the office. And so that next phase is sort of happening now as a next natural step. As organizations, consider how to bring at least some portion of their workforce back into the office, at least part of the time. So in this process, health and safety is a big priority, probably the big priority. And technology, we want technology to be a powerful tool to help provide a healthy and safe work environment, certainly for Aruba customers. And what we see as phase 3, if it's not happening now, is on the near horizon, as we understand and absorb the lessons that we've learned from the first 2 phases. It's really the combination of the 2 plus what we learn from them. There are real benefits for both the company and the employees that come with the opportunity to blend working from home and working in the office. So, employees and managers have additional flexibility while they're still able to be seamlessly and securely integrated into the workday. And organizations have the chance to take a fresh look at how they use their real estate, how they organize it and manage it. And that blending of working from home and working in the office is what we're seeing as being termed as a hybrid workplace. And throughout all of these phases, Aruba's ESP platform and the networking and security functions that are within it have been providing the foundation that organizations need and will still need to be successful. So certainly last year's sudden change from in-office work to remote work put a lot of pressure on organizations as far as how do we provide the best set of tools and support that employees need to be productive and still be at home. One other consequence was that of working from home is that it really dramatically increased the size and the complexity of the network edge or the attack surface. So it brought complexity around connectivity and security and management. So companies are starting to find really that having a centralized management platform becomes key, especially one that includes analytics and automation, and with the option to integrate additional services if you need them. That's really key in being able to manage and monitor a much more widely distributed network edge. When you operated solely within within the 4 walls of your building, you could operate one way, but now that even a single organization has become a distributed organization, that model is often forced to change. And then as workers come back into the office, new workspace layouts will put certainly an emphasis on social distancing and proximity solutions like contact and location tracing will be important so that we can make sure that these new office layouts are actually being effective as a tool for keeping the health and safety of employees and guests actually functioning. And certainly all of this is taking place in an environment, certainly stimulus packages aside, IT budgets and IT resources tend to be very constrained while they try to deliver these services. So I talked about ESP being able to deliver on supporting these initiatives of returning to your office, of having a hybrid workplace. So how do we do that? So ESP isn't a single product, but it's really a platform built on a set of solutions. Probably a lot of them that at least some of you already own, like Aruba Wireless, Aruba Switches, or ClearPath's Policy Manager. And it's combining some or all of these technologies into really the industry's first AI-powered solution, Aruba Central, to be able to unify and automate and protect your now distributed network edge. And that AI-powered solution is the combination of Aruba OS and Aruba Central together. So ESP is based on sort of 3 operational tenets, if you will. The first is AI ops. So ESP is really and Central is really the industry's first network management solution to go, beyond strictly AI-based problem recommendation to being able to automatically and continuously optimize how your network performs. And then also for contact and location tracing, Aruba is unique in the way that we can apply our AI to really enhance the insights and the efficiency of the data that we provide back to the organization. So unified infrastructure would be the second tenet. It's really meant to break down operational silos by providing a consistent management and operational experience for your wired, for your wireless, and your WAN. And that's regardless of where those network segments are existing: campus, branch, data center, remote worker. They can all be deployed and managed and monitored from a single interface via Aruba Central. So as part of what we're discussing today, I'll be highlighting our work from home options and our locationing data, but be aware that this is just part of a full set of what Aruba can provide in terms of a unified infrastructure. And then zero security allows our customers to deal with ever-present cyber threats by giving a secure and an appropriate network access level to their users. Whether they're remote or whether they're in the office, we can secure them the same way. And we offer this complete solution that's contained in the Edge Services platform with both flexible consumption models like HPE Greenlight, which is an infrastructure as a service offering, as well as flexible financing options through HPE Financial Services to sort of help lessen the strain on an organization's budget and resources. So how has Aruba supported the combination of work from home, or how will we support the combination of work from home and returning to the office? We have had, and we continue to have, a very broad portfolio of remote access solutions that you can use to really cut down the time and the effort and overhead that it takes to set up a remote worker, while keeping the security and the control that that an organization wants in doing those processes. So each of the solutions that we're going to be touching on here for remote workers, they all leverage an encrypted VPN technology, as well as Aruba's policy enforcement firewall for identity-based access control. And they use Aruba Central for operations management. Central is an optional component here for all of these. We like to give our customers flexibility, but certainly the large data set and the large compute capability of the cloud makes central management this solution with centralized management the most effective. So let me dig a little deeper into each one of these components of working from home. It starts with remote access points. We call them RAPs for short. They are a combination of hardware and software. So think a switch, an access point, and a firewall in a package a little bit bigger than the deck of cards, depending on what size you get. And that appliance is purpose-built to address the installation and the security and the management challenges that working from home presents to both IT and the end user. So with a remote AP, an organization can configure a profile that a RAP will use in the Aruba Cloud dashboard, and then ship a brand new, new in the box RAP to the end user. The end user unboxes it, plugs it in, connects it to their home network, and from there, the RAP calls back into the cloud service and downloads its configuration. So it's really truly zero-touch configuration at that point. And from that downloaded configuration, the RAP builds a secure VPN tunnel back into the corporate network, whether that be through the corporate firewall back to a VPNC in the data center, or into a corporate cloud presence like AWS or Azure. And then at that point, depending on what policy the business has put in place, both wired and wireless corporate networks are extended to wherever that remote user is connected. And that remote user, more importantly, is subjected to the same corporate security model and policies that they would be in their office. So Aruba networking can operate in a zero trust security model, which takes advantage of deep packet inspection at the network edge, as well as stateful level layer 7 firewalling in the corporate VPNCs. So you can also combine that with Aruba ClearPass. And with that combination, client devices are really given an appropriate secure and identity-driven access to the network, regardless of whether they're working from home or in the office. And then, from a network operations standpoint, both the wraps and any Aruba devices connected behind them have cloud-native visibility for management and monitoring via Aruba Central. Aruba also offers the VIA software VPN client, which is really made to turn a laptop or an iPad or a phone into a VPN tunnel endpoint. And again, it applies that same security, secure identity-driven access to corporate resources that Aruba provides with its hardware-based remote solutions. And if you're working with a small office or a branch location that has more clients than can realistically work from one AP, one of the ways that our unified access points can operate is in a controllerless mode. So they create their own control plane across the deployment site. And at the same time, they established a VPN connection back to Aruba Central. They can be connecting then at that point to a corporately connected or a cloud connected VPNC and establish a secure tunnel in that way. So the deployment can be also locally managed. And again, that model gives secure access to corporate services, but you don't need individual VPN clients for the users in that small office or branch site. The unified APs can be provisioned ahead of time, in the cloud for true zero touch deployment at the remote site. You can have a profile defined for them in the cloud. You ship the access point to the site. The users plug them in, and they download their configuration. So, Aruba is certainly providing solutions to allow whatever portion of the workforce that's working remotely to do that and to continue to do that securely. And as folks head back to their offices, the strengths of Aruba Connectivity, coupled with the analytics and insights that are built into that, help provide key resources to make that coming back to the office happen in a way that create the confidence and give the organization control so that employees and employers feel comfortable with employees coming back in the workplace. Making sure that social distancing guidelines are followed. Getting a better idea of how different spaces in a building are being used. So Aruba APs support a couple of different types of radio access networks. So certainly Wi-Fi, but also Bluetooth and Zigbee are built in. And so the combination of those types of radios, number one, they serve to, as a way to connect different types of sensors and other peripherals that an organization might want to monitor the health and safety of the employees or the employee space. But also the AP as a platform can gather its own data and be an essential ingredient for contact tracing within the office space, should that be necessary. So in that kind of case, the Aruba infrastructure that's already in place, especially wireless access points, provide a couple of different proximity solutions that companies can use as they plan for their employees coming back into the office. So this is a quick comparison of the Aruba's two built-in solutions to provide that proximity and locationing information. So the Wi-Fi solution works with any Aruba access point, and the locationing data that the access points generate can be harvested either by Airwave, which is an on-premise management platform, or in the cloud by Aruba Central. If you have Airwave, there's a connector that feeds the data up to Central. Like all the AI ops pieces that are built into ESP, Central is where we do our data aggregation and analysis. So because of the horsepower that we have in the cloud, so that data is then used by a couple of new services that we've rolled out in the last year into Central, and they would be contact tracing and location tracing and hotspot monitoring. So which is essentially looking at a space to see what kind of device usage has been in a certain space. So access to Aruba Central is role-based. So an organization who's concerned with who can access this type of user and device movement within the space, that organization can place really strict controls on who has access to those kinds of data sets. And if you are a customer that wants to export the data to put into your own tools like Splunk or a Power BI, there's a set of APIs that you can use to extract it. The Wi-Fi option is free to Aruba customers, and it uses, like I said, Central as the UI. You don't really need any additional hardware for that. And we provide a 90-day free trial license for Aruba Central to get started if a customer doesn't already have their own Central account. We've been assured that as long as contact tracing is a necessity in the current environment, that we are going to extend the usage of Central for our trial customers indefinitely. And for customers or organizations that want a little more accuracy and control, the Bluetooth radio and the Bluetooth based locationing solution leverages a product called Aruba Meridian, which traditionally has been a way that we provide wayfinding and asset tracking services. So we've enhanced that platform's capabilities to now include locationing services for people as they move around space. So in that kind of case, you can get very highly accurate location data. It's generated by a tag that a user would have attached to something that they own, that they carry with them, like a wearable or an identification badge, and that tag broadcasts periodically, and the Bluetooth radio in the Aruba access points hears that and forwards that information to its own Meridian cloud-based reporting dashboard. So in that case, the Meridian cloud aggregates and analyzes that data from the Aruba tags, and then provides essentially the same type of proximity applications as the cloud, as Aruba Central does with Wi-Fi. So the reason you would choose Bluetooth over Wi-Fi is that Bluetooth really includes a much tighter location accuracy. You'll see 1 to 3 meters there. And because of the tag use, you can more directly tie that location to a user versus a laptop or a smart device, for example. And for the hybrid workplace, step 3, like we were talking about, which is certainly coming, and as I mentioned, is really a combination of steps 1 and 2 and some adaptations we will make based on the lessons we've learned. We will continue to support that too. We're seeing that the office workspace will increasingly rely on Wi-Fi and Bluetooth to support IoT sensors and other types of user devices, and other types of capabilities that will build on what we've learned as far as when people come back. Where can we use touchless solutions in our space? How can the network play a bigger role in security or crisis management in case we need to take some sort of a quick action with people in the building? So whatever direction it takes, the hybrid workplace we feel will be very reliant on secure, centrally managed network connectivity that makes the user experience the same, so quick and easy to connect, and the security posture, the same, appropriately and very secure, regardless of where the employee is working from. Offices will likely be more monitored, more flexible in terms of how they allocate space, and certainly less dense in terms of the number of people that that will be there than previously. And the focus will be on encouraging workers to return to the office based on providing a secure and a safe and hopefully an enriched work experience. And finally, as office spaces change and the IT services that are required to service those spaces change, it's likely that cost and manpower to make those changes happen will be consumed much more flexibly from both a financing and a resources perspective, which is where Aruba and IntegraONE can help you very much with through HPEFS and Aruba Greenlight. So I hope you can see how Aruba ESP can be the framework, for the connectivity, the security, the management, the analytics, and the services that your company needs to get, there. From wraps for working from home, to proximity solutions for returning to work, to a cloud-native, AI-powered, secure platform for, this hybrid workplace that we see coming. So I'm going to turn it back to you, Aaron.
Thanks, Eric. That was a lot of great information. Before we wrap up for today, I'd like to, throw a few questions out to Eric of some common questions or things that we're being asked as we're out there talking to customers, and he can kind of address them in a little more detail. So the first one is really, people are really accustomed to doing a lot of video conferencing and web calls these days. And, as people shift back towards, working in the office, there's still going to be a great deal of people remote still. There's going to be people, in the office that are going to be doing video calls with people outside the office. So what can we do from Aruba's product set to really ensure that the network is ready to handle this?
Yeah, so Aruba and Aruba's both, in the office and remote solutions have some dedicated tool sets around handling sort of unified communications applications like Zoom, like Microsoft Teams, like Skype. So number one, we certainly will get visibility about the health of these kinds of, unified communications applications in the Aruba Cloud dashboard. So you can see, the administrator can see, if those kinds of sessions have been healthy, or if there may need to be other types of configuration changes made to to have a better end user experience. So from working from home, the Aruba wraps have a couple of different forwarding models that they can use based on how the organization decides that they want to handle Zoom calls or Skype meetings or so forth. So we can tunnel that traffic. We can bridge that traffic out through the local internet connection directly onto the internet at the remote site. We can do a kind of a combination depending. So we have some tools about how we can move the traffic through as well, so we can find a method that's optimal for the application.
Perfect. Great answer. Yeah, the next question really comes down to some network security and ensuring, safety of the network as we bring devices on and off the network. With a lot of people moving back and forth between home and office, they're going to have their personal devices, their corporate devices, corporate laptops, both at the office, and they're obviously going to have them at home on networks that aren't necessarily secured as your corporate network would be. So how can we be, what can we do to make sure as these devices traverse, from home to the office, that, they're correctly assessed before actually moving them onto the network and being, allowed to access corporate resources?
So I touched briefly on this as we kind of went through there earlier, but Aruba ClearPass is really a key tool in providing secure access to corporate resources, the corporate network, and whether that be from home or for a device that's been at home and you bring into the network. ClearPass is a tool. It's a service that runs, that looks at any piece of identifiable information that the device that's requesting access can provide. So about the device itself, about the user that's connecting, about the location they're connecting from. Optionally, it can look at the health of the device, or it can tie into external device management platforms like Jamf or MDM or Intune and get device health information that way. So it gathers a lot of context around the device that's requesting access. And from that information, it will send back what it determines to be an appropriate level of access. So if you have a corporately owned device and its virus signatures are up to date and it's whatever parameters you've set in place in terms of what you consider to be secure, ClearPass will check that when the device comes on the network and give it a healthy token and give it the appropriate access based on the role of the user that's using it. Say I have my smartphone, doesn't have that same kind of security instrumentation built into it, but I do have Active Directory credentials, so if I bring it into the office, I can get on the network. ClearPass can identify the difference between those two devices, my corporately owned laptop, my personal smartphone or iPad or what have you, and it can treat those two sessions differently. One is trusted, one is less trusted or untrusted, however you want to do that, based on your policy.
Great. The last question here that I have is, kind of revolves around contract tracing and some of the levels of complexity that are involved, and really what the customer needs to do to get contact tracing available on their network and make sure everybody is on board and that it can be, properly managed.
Yeah, no, great question. And Aruba sets up our customers very well to do these, to do the contact tracing types of work in your office. With Wi-Fi, if you have Aruba Wi-Fi in place, if you're using Aruba Airwave, let me back up here. The Aruba Wi-Fi is already collecting locationing data, in that we're collecting information about users as they roam and where they dwell and so forth for our own internal client handling processes. It just so happens that that works very well to provide locationing data if an organization needs it. So in terms of how do you roll that out, if you've got Aruba Wi-Fi already, essentially you need to subscribe to the Aruba Cloud platform and point your Wi-Fi at the cloud. If you're using Airwave, there's a connector that you fill out your account information in, connects you up to Central, and it just starts to populate your data and you can start to access it. If you don't have Airwave, you're sending your, if you're managing your network directly in the cloud, you just have to essentially go into that menu and the data is there. So very easy to implement and to roll out. If you're using Bluetooth, If you want more location accuracy with the Bluetooth Aruba solution, that does require a tag. It's about the size of a couple of quarters, maybe 3 quarters stacked up. So you would sign up for that an account on the Aruba Meridian cloud dashboard. They would send you information about how to log into that. You would upload a map of your floor plan, and you would then distribute the tags to your users depending on how you wanted to give them out. Once those are in place, the system will, using triangulation from the access points that it knows about in the space, it will start to populate data about how your user moves. So it's also very easy to move out. It does require some external hardware to do that. And for those solutions, if you have users that, for privacy, because of their privacy concerns, they don't want to participate in contact tracing, there are opt-out mechanisms built into those so that you can exclude certain users' devices from participating in that, so they won't be traced in that case. But it's a very easy lift to go to start using location and proximity tracing if you've already got Aruba Wi-Fi.
Great, thank you very much. I think that really wraps it up for today. I want to, first off, thank you, Eric, for joining us today. And for those of you who are listening out there, thanks for listening. And if there's any further questions that you guys have, make sure you reach out to us at integraone.com/contact or contact your IntegraONE account manager. Thanks for joining.